Hello, I'm Karen, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how to crochet charm quark cushions out of your scraps of yarn. So this side we can see we've got circles, and if I tip it over, whoops, there we go. On the other side we can see we've got some spirals. Okay, so that is basically a cushion. Obviously you're going to need to stuff it, and I'm just going to share with you this just so that you can see. So when you make your cushions, what's going to happen is you're going to get these effects on the inside. You might not want to use them as cushions after this, you might want to use them as placemats, but so here we can see like we've got our circles going around, and that's what it looks like on the inside. But when we tip them over, you can actually see this is the spiral version, and this is the circle version. And top tip, leave the very end tail end so that when you actually go to join them together, because I've lost my other tail end, when you go to join them together you can just marry them up properly by just having your tail ends to work together. Okay, so that's top tips for that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you how to make the base first. I'm going to tell you the story of how this pattern all came to be, and it is a crazy story. Okay, so I'm using just double knit yarn, my 4mm crochet hook, and I've got white sparkly leftovers. Okay, so we're going to begin with a twist on my hook. I'm going to begin with a chain of 3, and then into the first chain going to work 9 treble crochet stitches if you're in the UK, or 9 double crochet, sorry, if you're in the US. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Now for the whole of this pattern, the chain 3 is going to be working as a stitch. What you're going to do is, so between the chain 3 and between the post of your first stitch, you're going to slip stitch to join. That's end of round 1. Round 2 is chain 3. You're going to work the same stitch into the same space, and then between all of the posts from now on this round we're going to work the V stitch. So it's a treble crochet, chain 1, treble crochet if you're in the UK, and if you're in the US it's going to be a double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet. Okay, then that's all we're doing, and we need to make this until we've got 10 rounds. And so what I'm going to do is going to just show you, carry on crocheting just for a little bit and tell you this story, and then I'll show you how to add the top pieces on, and we'll carry on working from there. Okay, so so the story of how this actual pattern began is a very strange story. For those of you that have been watching my videos for ages, you'll know that I've been playing a game which is called, I'm calling it the complex anagram game because that's the name I decided to call it. And I've been playing it with the king in secret, kind of. And it is all very, very strange. And I know that we're not going to go into those details. Anyway, so I thought that the game had come to an end because I was trying to translate the Voynich manuscript. And but I didn't do anything for a while. I just thought it was all over, and then I was working one day in my actual day job. Is technically classed as an office job, I suppose. Right, I'm just going to come to the end of this round and show you what to do next. So we're going to slip stitch between the 2 posts like we already did on the first round, and this time we're going to, so we do chain 3, work our stitch into the same space. So it's every round is going to begin like that from now onwards. Then you're going to work in between the actual posts, just do 1 stitch, and then in your V stitches you're going to do a V stitch. So that's just your, yep, so that's what we're going to do. So anyway, so I was at work this particular day. And so I received an email, and the email actually contained a letter from His Majesty the King. Thank you very much, by the way, Your Majesty, for that that letter. I really appreciate it. right in the middle of that actual letter that he'd actually sent was the word all, and it was underlined by His Majesty in his ink pen. And I was like, oh, that's the secret message for me. I just know it because of the games that I've been playing. And so on that particular type of game that I played, you had to find the word all. How many times did it appear in a paragraph? So one all equaled the capital letter A, two alls would equal the capital letter B, etc. Because this letter was a short letter and it just had 3 paragraphs, and each of the paragraphs contained one of the word all, it meant I'd got 3 capital letter A's. And then the game then is to then find out words that you can make from that, and also find the crochet pattern. And so if you actually get the letter A, so if the letter A is like 3 sticks, yeah. So you've got, in total I'd got 9 sticks. So if you turn those sticks into the letter C like that, you can get 3 C's. So the beginning of this pattern, chain 3, I've got 9 sticks in total. We did 9 stitches. So, and then you can actually maneuver these sticks around to make the actual sequence to continue to be able to make this pattern. And I was like, oh, that's nice, that's cool. I was like, okay. And it didn't make any sense to me whatsoever to do with anything that I'd been doing at all. And so I just, I used it actually as a background in the Jellycat video. If you've watched that one, you'll see it in there. It's a purple one. And then it happened to me. I couldn't help myself. I was like, I didn't finish the game, did I? I have got to go and do page 26 in the Voynich manuscript. So, and I'd already failed, I don't know how many times, at trying to do that one. And I decided to do an experiment, which was basically using, so I don't know if you've watched the video, I mean these old videos, but I actually did this piece here, and inside it is what I called the V8 stitch, which was the first ever stitch that I found inside the Voynich manuscript. And so I I thought, I'm going to try it with that, with the actual rest of the instructions, because nothing else seemed to work. And it did work, and I did find something, and it revealed certain text of the manuscript, which are turned into English letters. And now we're on to this round. What we're going to do is just work between the next 2 posts. So it's always going to be the same thing. So you're going to do chain of 3, and then do 1 stitch between these posts, and then V-stitch. Yeah, I'm going to keep carrying on. So where had I got to? So yeah, so it revealed me some text, and so I turned that bits into English letters, and I got the strangest message, and I was like, that can't be right. And the message basically said to go in the attic and get the crochet out. And I haven't got any crochet in the attic. I don't put crochet in the attic. I just don't. Yes, I put some yarn in there, but there's no crochet. But it bothered me, so I went into the attic. And lo and behold, inside the attic, let me just show you. I'm just moving these out of the way. Not only did I find my original piece here that I did from the Voynich manuscript, I found this little flowery thing that I made. I called it the snowflake, but technically it's wrong because snowflake only has 6 points and this has got 8. But yeah, but this is a piece that I actually crocheted from the manuscript in my very early days. And this, yeah, you see this here, look, it's got the same swirl. It's actually going in reverse. Yeah, but I've still got the same swirl. And when I picked up this piece from the attic, because I was like, oh my gosh, that's so pretty. I'm going to work with that. And so I decided I was going to declutter all of my projects. But this one I realised I started from the outside and worked in. And if you do it on a smaller scale, it's a lot harder to actually do these stitches in the middle. So, but the background of this is this pattern. It's exactly the same pattern. I was like, okay then. And it freaked me out. I'm telling you, it really did. Because like, how did a 400-year-old book and the king know that I'd got that and I'd put it to good use? I still cannot answer that question. I've got obviously my suspicions, but they're like just a little bit out there. But yeah, so anyway, so that's how I ended up finding that piece. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make some little cushions just to be able to tidy up and use all like leftover tail ends that I'd kept, and use up all my scrap bits of yarn. Because I thought, I have got so much stuff, it's time to declutter and it's time to tidy up. And so that is basically what I've been doing. And so I used that particular pattern. I thought, right, that's it, that I'll make the And as you can see, I've made some cushions out of it. And then I had the thought, well, if this pattern, so this pattern, and because of the sticks that it had, and the words that I ended up being able to make was the word 10, so it's TEN, and if you did it in reverse, it was net. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have two pieces that sandwich together, that means I've got two of those, so I end up with 18 total sticks, which is, yes, you guessed it, from if you've watched the other video, it spelled my name, Karen, and then I really, really did think I was like losing the plot, I think, really, at that moment in time. If I'm actually honest, I was like, this is like magic. And so I realised as well that you could actually turn those same sticks into the word charm. And I was looking at charm quarks, and I realised as I was reading and watching some videos of how my cushions could very simplistically describe charm quarks. And so that is how this pattern all came about. So there you go. That is that is my little story. I'm done. 1, 2, 3. I'm on the 4th round at the moment. So I'm just going to have a look. How long have we been? Yep, so I think realistically it's time for me to now, I'm going to put this bit to one side and I'll show you how to add the other piece on. So this one, I did sew the tail end in, and I was like, oh, you really shouldn't, honestly, because when you're joining them together, but just so you know, I'm going to show you back on the piece we've been working. So your actual chain 3s, yeah, they're actually quite hard to see. So, but that's what the bit. So you're going to follow that line down and get to your very first chain 3 position. Then you just need some little scraps of yarn. I've just got little scraps. I've got loads of little scraps of yarn, honestly. And so you could just all you're going to do is begin with a twist. The first round is the hardest. I'm going to be truthful, but it's well worth it. So you're going to go through underneath the post. Yeah. So you're going to keep folding your work. You're going to slip stitch into place, do a chain of 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch back underneath the same post you've just done. There, and then you're going to move over to the next post and go underneath it. I've got squeaky yarn. And I know somebody said use talcum powder, and I've got some, but 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go underneath that same stitch and slip stitch together, and that's all you're going to do. Is just going to keep working around and around. Okay, and so anyway, because I actually did do these charm quarks, it led me on an interesting journey, which I would like to share with you. And realistically, because of me having to do the day job and having the way that I can get time booked off from that job, it's going to have to be my May video, or maybe I think it's going to be 2. But what I want you to do, so there's certain rules for you to be able to play this next game, so to speak, or to actually demonstrate a theory. You need to, so you've got some certain rules to follow. So all of your backgrounds have got to be made in one plain colour. It doesn't matter what your plain colour is, any colour you choose, it's perfectly fine. And then the outside pieces, you choose any colours you like, and you either make circles or spirals. That's whoopsie-daisy. That's what you're going to do. Yep. And then when you've decided, and you just choose randomly, honestly, there is no rhyme and reason to this particular bit for you to do. Just choose randomly whatever colours that suit, that you want. If you want to go for a pattern of like doing, I don't know, go blue, white, blue, white, blue, white, or yellow, green, purple, whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're either choosing, whoopsie-daisy, you're either choosing the circle or the spirals. And you can have 2 circles, so you can have like 2 pieces that have both got a circle on each side to sandwich together, or you can have a circle and a spiral. And the circles are representing the positive of the quark, and the spirals are representing a negative. Okay, and then once you've actually made your cushion, because I've created a list, then we're going to see what name is your cushion, if you want to play that game. And so I'll share the names of all of these cushions in that particular video. And we'll just come to the very last one, look, so we're going to just work this one in. 1, 2, 3 into there. I need my scissors. Oops, excuse me, I didn't have those out ready. And so I like to leave my tail ends roughly the same length, so cut that off, pull that through there. So when you're doing the circles, you're going to stop. If you're going to carry on to do the spiral, you're just going to drop straight down into this next chain 3. And that's where, if you've got a dark colour, you can kind of tend to lose your way a little bit, but persevere, it's well worth it. So I'm just going to I've been doing a double knot just to keep them nice and secure, like so. Then you get your darning needle. Now the choice is yours. You can sew in as you go, or you can wait till they get to the end. But what you do is you just literally drop down into the space between. So you're going to come out the other side like that. And also, if you don't actually sew in this middle tail end of your background first, because that will actually open up as you're adding on, then you can pull it all nice and tight. And that's another thing that I'm pointing out with this one, just to show you pitfalls to avoid. And you're just going to tuck your tail end in. There, I've pulled that a bit too far, so just pull that back. It's nice and neat. Then what you can do is you can actually just go over to the next one as well. So you can tuck in and keep going, or you can go over that one and then come into the next one like that, just to keep your tail ends tight. So we can see how that started to lose my shape there, so I'm going to pull that one back out just because I'm being fussy. And I know you're not going to see it because realistically it's going to be on the inside, but there we go. I'm going to cut that one off. So you get your little circle, and what's going to happen, the more circles that you make, or the more as you go round, it's sort of going to make it form a strange shape, and you're going to need to like keep pulling at it and keep doing it like that, okay? So that's what you're going to do. And then once you've actually got your 2 pieces the same, and you've got all the way to the very edges. So these actually are slightly different sizes, if I'm being honest, because this was a thinner yarn that I used for the background of this one. But just to demonstrate to you what we need to do next, so I've got some different shade of blue yarn. And you just get your tail ends, you marry those up so you know you're going into the same stitch realistically for the first time. I'll put my twist on. Actually, I want to leave a longer end because I like my longer ends for sewing in. There. And then you're just going to go underneath that one, and this will make sure that all of your points, because technically you're making a decagon, it'll make sure all your points match. And then you're just going to be going underneath the end, so it's like the tops of your stitches, literally just to slip stitch to join. That's all you're going to do all the way around until it's joined together, and then obviously, well, until you've left yourself a good enough gap, and then you'll end up stuffing it with if you've got loads of tail ends like I did, then obviously you can stuff it with tail ends. It makes a really, really good cushion for, you know that, I'll turn it back over, I like this side. It's a really good cushion for in the arch of your back at the bottom, you know, if it's just a perfect size for that. If you wanted to do it looser, like the original one that I did, I do believe I did this in a 6.5mm crochet hook, just still with double knit yarn, but it makes a really like floppy one to be able to make as a little blanket. And like I said, if you have them upside down, just like this, you can have them either way, obviously, but you can use them as placemats if you don't want to stuff them. So there you go. I do hope that you've enjoyed it. It's a really interesting story, I think, personally. But anyway, so thank you for watching, as always. Thank you for everybody that's actually subscribed to my videos. I really do appreciate that. Thank you for everybody that's still watching all of my old videos. I went down such a memory lane when I was in the attic and bringing out all of my old bits, and I just want to just say thanks. I really appreciate it, because we've been doing this channel in my strangest way for years, and yep, I just want to say thank you. Okay, so thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for sharing, thank you for subscribing. Bye for now.